Hello, welcome. It's yet another of your favorite Star Trek watching podcast. A star to steer her, whatever the hell.
We're not the Delta Flyers.
No.
I'd make
wish.
a sexy Tom Paris.
Oh. No, this is a star to steer her by. We're here. We've been watching lots of Voyager, like we do. The week's episodes for this week are going to be episodes The Disease and Course Oblivion. So keep up with all of our Voyager watching with me, Ames.
And me, Caitlin.
And I, Jake.
And me, Chris. Wait, who the fuck are you?
I think there's a Silver Blood duplicate.
I am the clone of James Rossi who forgot.
Yeah, so we've got a duplicate Rossi here in the studio today. I'm sure he'll survive the episode. It'll be great.
It's gonna be okay.
If I haven't mentioned yet, I probably haven't, and this is the most professional intro I've done in years. This is episode number 288.
Yay!
Which just seems like a lot, guys.
So many.
It's a lot.
Are you even halfway done?
Yes, but they keep adding more Star Trek.
I actually saw a
The
thing.
goalpost keeps getting moved back. So.
I saw a thing the other day. As of the season finale of Prodigy, or maybe actually no, I think it was as of the first half of the season finale. There are now more episodes of Star Trek than Doctor Who.
Well, there's also a lot of lost episodes of Doctor Who, so those don't count.
It's including the full, like, everything that was ever made, including the lost ones.
Yeah, Doctor Who had that big chunk where it just wasn't on the air, too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they're
they
kind of
had-
that cuts into what you'd expect.
Well, so did Star Trek. It was called, the 1970s and
Yeah.
part of the 80s. To be fair.
And
Yeah,
mu-
both
in the
series-
2000s.
Both series have over 860 episodes now, which is fucking crazy.
Damn.
Okay,
too
I'm not
many.
going to do a Dr. Wow podcast, guys. That's
Oh,
just
God,
not
no, me
something
neither.
I can handle.
No.
A Dr.
No.
Wow podcast.
No. God,
We
no.
are going to talk about, however, The Disease. Now, a couple weeks ago, I think it was during our Spaceballs special, which y'all should listen to because it was a whole lot of fun. Our holiday-themed episode for Spaceballs. I think I joked that we should have that new AI program. What's it called? Open AI?
Oh, something, or...
Yeah, write up our synopses for us. And I just tried to do that with The Disease. So let's
Oh
see
my
what it
God.
came up with.
I'm so excited.
Oh, man.
Now, I told it to write it like a fairy tale so it wouldn't just be boring. So here's
Oh.
what it came up with. I'm pretty sure all of it is factually incorrect.
Good.
Awesome.
Once upon a time, in a far-off galaxy, there was a spaceship called the USS Voyager. It was on a journey through uncharted space, trying to find its way back home to Earth. Okay, so far all right. So far correct.
Mostly.
One
The galaxy
day-
thing is wrong.
One day, a strange disease began to spread among the crew of the Voyager.
Fuck.
Not liking where this is going. It caused their bodies to become weak and their minds to be filled with confusion and forgetfulness. The disease was so powerful that it seemed impossible to cure. The captain of the Voyager, a brave and clever woman named Catherine Janeway, knew that she had to do something to save her crew. She called a meeting of all the officers, and together they came up with a plan. They decided to send a small team of people to a nearby planet to search for a cure. The planet was known to have many strange and mysterious plants, and the crew hoped that one of them might contain the cure they were looking for. The team was led by two of the bravest and most resourceful members of the crew. The first officer, Commander Chakotay, and the chief medical officer, Dr. Louis Zimmerman.
Okay,
It's close.
It's trying.
Close. It's trying real hard.
At least it wasn't like McCoy or something.
Together, they set out on their mission, facing all kinds of dangers and challenges along the way. After many trials and tribulations, they finally found a plant that seemed to have the power to cure the disease. They brought it back to the Voyager, where the doctor was able to create a medicine from it. Thanks to all the bravery of the team and the ingenuity of the doctor, the crew of the Voyager was able to overcome the disease and continue on their journey home, and they all lived happily ever after.
So what's funny is,
Hooray!
up to a point, that actually kind of works for the next episode better. But then it also kind of sounds like, the Tub episode. We'll stick you on this planet where maybe you can find a cure. And there's a little bit of there's a lot of Voyager in there.
Yeah, it's almost like it it created its own Star Trek Voyager episode about Voyager people on Voyager contracting a disease.
Yeah, I think the fact that the title of this episode is The Disease, and I told it to tell me a plot of the plot of the Voyager episode, The Disease, as a fairy tale. I think it didn't realize The Disease was already an episode, and it just wrote me a new episode. So it's close.
It appeals to me as a millennial because it seems to have a message that says, save the rainforest. Which, that's one I grew up with a lot, so we're in.
So here's what we actually watched, because, as close as that was, and, as great a job as the OpenAI is doing, and it's going to replace all humans fairly quickly. Here's what we actually watched. Here we are, we're doing the Voyager. Voyager is helping fix the Vero's generational ship, even though they're this xenophobic, skittish race that doesn't want to do anything with anybody ever. Except for Darren Tal, who has been plugging Harry's extension cord into her light socket. Quite literally.
Yikes.
No.
Wow, would not have expected that from you, but here we are.
Well, it's obvious because Harry starts glowing.
Fuck, you win this round.
Aha, I've done it. Tal says it's the Olan Vara, but I call it monogamy disease. Because it seems to be like, since they've mated, now they're kind of mated for life kind of a thing, and if they stop being together, they'll have headaches and something.
Like ducks.
Anyway, word gets across to Janeway when they realize Harry's been glowing. And Janeway decides no one has ever been allowed to fuck aliens on Star Trek, even though she's apparently never seen an episode of Star Trek. Janeway, where did this come from?
Janeway has fucked aliens on Star Trek.
But see, she doesn't have to ask permission since she's the captain.
Right. She can't fuck her subordinates, but she can fuck aliens. Meanwhile, Tuvok and Neelix are playing detective, and they find this stowaway who doesn't want to live on a generational ship because it sucks. Meanwhile, there are also all these parasites that have been eating the hulls of all the ships. So let's connect all these threads. I swear it all fits together somehow. It turns out there's this movement of dissidents who don't want to live on the generational ship because they never get to have adventures. And Tal is one of these rebels, and they've been putting the parasites on the ship so they can break it apart and go do their own thing. Which they do! And the rebels are able to go do their own thing. Sadly, that means it's going to be away from Harry. So Tal's gonna be fine. She goes off with her people to go look at nebulas and shit. And Harry decides he's gonna have a major sulk about it because of the disease that is love. The end.
The real disease was the love we made along the way.
Oh, that sounds real gross.
This episode was a fucking garbage fire.
I mean, it was just like a lot of plots just kind of haphazardly glued together, much like that generational ship.
Here's the problem. The interesting plot was like the D plot.
Which one? Which one would you say that was?
The one about people being like, this life sucks, we want away from it. I don't care about Harry's STD. It was weird and uncomfortable, and also, people have fucked up. Are you telling me every time Riker boned down with an alien, he first went to Captain Picard, swung his leg over a chair, and said, "Hey, Jean-Luc, I'm horny. Please give me permission to fuck."
So Janeway said that, the like regulations on interspecies relations was it 3 centimeters thick or whatever? It was only 5 pages before Riker.
Right.
Like, he's why
I thought we were going for a different 3 centimeters joke.
No.
Me too.
No.
I'm being appropriate.
Yeah, it's very strange because Star Trek, a show which is known from the beginning for its banging aliens,
suddenly
is now that's a thing you can't do only when you're Harry Kim.
Yeah, I almost feel like it should have been, you shouldn't fuck these aliens because they're this xenophobic species and it will cause an outcry of some kind.
Yeah, if that's just all it had been, like special orders in this situation because of things, which at first it seemed like that's what they were going for, but then she was like, you took a course on it, which, wow, what a weird course. You think that's taught by the gym teachers?
It's the intercourse, Chris.
So like Janeway kind of did spell it out that like what she was most upset about was you disobeyed orders. And then kind of like backwards justified a lot of her anger and frustration at her special perfect boy making a mistake, you know, and weird. Backfilled it with the fact that, oh, well, we have all these regulations that make a lot more sense when you're in Starfleet in the Alpha Quadrant as opposed to out here.
Well, I mean, it actually kind of does make sense because, like, for the Delta Quadrant more than the Alpha Quadrant, in my opinion, because we don't know what kind of people are out there and what kind of weird stuff. Like, it reminded me of Mass Effect when, like, you can have sex with Garrus, but you need to have, like, special fuck cream to do it. Like, we don't know. For all we know, she could have had some kind of... First of all, it doesn't sound like she had a vagina.
Right.
They talked about what was happening there.
They were really happy they found a way.
No, they... So, I loved that, like, there was, like, 5 minutes of this episode dedicated to Harry, Kim, and Tal being like, man, our parts, that felt great, but what was going on? We sure smashed
them together.
Don't know what was happening.
I missed that somehow.
Oh, yeah.
How did you miss it? It was the best part of this fucking episode. It was so funny.
I imagine she just has, like, palm fronds down there or something.
Now I'm just... it's always Futurama, but I'm just thinking of when Fry goes to fuck the mermaid, but they can't make it work.
Yeah, no, I think...
what fronds, Jesus. Sorry, that took a minute to sink in.
The like Harry Kim specifically said, like, I don't think they even have regulations for the things we did last night.
I know. Who the fuck wrote this? Gene back from the dead.
Like, really funny. Well, and then also later with 7 of 9 when she's talking about like, love sucks. Why would you want to have only one partner? That's boring.
I thought that was wild. I didn't expect
right?
7 of 9 of all people.
That's not even this episode.
Yeah, isn't that the next one?
Was that the next episode? Why wasn't that this episode?
And that's not actually 7 of 9.
Oh, that's right. That was the marriage.
I mean, it does make sense.
That was the wedding.
7 of 9, because that's how many people are in her polycule.
But I mean, regardless, yeah.
We'll get to that next episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did some real dirty. They did the nasty in the pasty.
Like the English baked good?
Sure.
The pasty?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
They did things we literally can't even imagine.
This would have been such a better episode if like, because like, the disease, the whatever thing Harry Kim had that turned out, we instantly find out it's not permanent and it's not gonna hurt him,
and it's not contagious,
so it's really nothing. The glowing thing really just turns out to be
his boner.
Yeah, it's the walk of shame among these people.
Wow.
If somebody sees you and you're glowing, they're like, hey, good night, huh?
Ames, if I may, his gloner.
Oh wow, you may
not.
So, but like, I was just thinking it was more like the afterglow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, there was no tension created.
No, none whatsoever.
Which, like, it would have been way more interesting, and it would have been a totally different episode, of course, but it would have been more interesting if, like, he had gotten an STD, and it was dangerous. Or pregnant.
He's got the space herb.
Like, when they were like, oh, I didn't even think it, it's so weird how different we are down there. I thought that was going to lead to, like, Harry Kim getting pregnant, and him going to her, and she's like, yeah, of course you got pregnant. We had sex. That's what happens. Guys get pregnant. Jeez.
100% of the time you get pregnant.
Oh.
It was in the pamphlet we gave you before you came on board. You've got to be very careful.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, and then the aliens, it's like, oh no, it's here's what you do, right? You make it a episode about like abortion policy and like the aliens are completely morally against any form of abortion, and giving birth is always fatal to the male. But
I do not see 96 or 7 Star Trek, whatever this is. 99 Star Trek having the balls to do that story.
I don't see them doing it today.
No.
They'd lose a lot of fans.
Never mind balls. I just don't think they're capable of telling that story, at least not in 1999.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, they'd have told it poorly as fuck, but...
Yeah. But yeah, wouldn't that be a fun sci-fi story? Pregnant man? gonna die?
I'm sure it exists all over the place.
Yeah,
I mean, there's that
probably.
episode of Sliders where that happens with
There's that movie
the
Junior.
singer. There's that.
Futurama.
There's also that season of Red Dwarf where it ends, and then the pregnancy kind of happens off screen at the beginning of the next season.
In The Sims 2, if you had any character, no matter which gender character you had, outside at night using the telescope, there was a chance that character could become abducted by aliens and come back pregnant.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean,
anyway,
if
I think
Sims 2 has done it, I think it's narratively explored to its conclusion.
Well, I don't know if it's been explored in the in the abortion debate as much.
Yeah, every time Star Trek does a special episode of the week, it's such a disaster, though.
But the
I don't know, at the Why Would People Do Drugs episode, I thought
that was a fantastic. I don't know, but sci-fi should be used for talking about, social issues.
Oh yeah, just
maybe not quite that nail on the head, I guess.
I just feel like we're really hitting the part of Star Trek, like in the Voyager Enterprise years, where their ability to tell good stories is really starting to hit a hill.
True.
Like there's still like some really good things that happen, but like I'm a bit ahead in the show, and there's episodes where I'm like, maybe I just don't want a guest on this one at all, even though it would have lots to talk about.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Rossi writes an essay.
I don't think there are like any enterprises that are good. A lot of them are fun, I'll say, but they're not
I
like...
thought you loved Enterprise, Chris. You're always defending it.
I do, because it is a camp garbage fire. Oh, and
Camp Garbage Fire sounds like a terrible camp.
Season 3 is mostly trash. But when it, I enjoy it, it's fun, but when it tries to be intelligent, it generally fails. It's better when it sticks to just being goofy.
Yeah. Perhaps someday we will have some sort of rule or directive to tell us what we can and can't do out here.
What will we call it? The read alarm.
The read alert. God damn it.
Yeah.
That's
like all I remember from the show is like decontamination gel and read alert.
The decon room. The worst part of anyway, we're not on there yet. This was bad.
See, I don't think it was bad. I think it was there wasn't, even though all the plots fit together, none of them were complete. Like I was really interested in this generational ship rebellion.
Yeah.
And you see almost none of it, and then the episode's suddenly over, and I realized, wait a minute, what did they spend all of their time on? And
Mostly
I think it's
horny Harry.
Yeah, Harry kissing.
Yeah.
Which, good for him, and we get to see his chest a little bit, and Garrett Long is a good-looking man. I'll allow it, but I realize, where is the rest of the episode?
Yeah, no, it's a bunch of half-thought-out ideas.
Yeah.
Sort of hurried to an unsatisfying conclusion.
It's weird
Just
how
like sex with Harry.
It's weird how It's weird how unfocused it is for something that kind of wraps everything up in the end.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Like everything is like done, but it's just really unfocused despite that.
Yeah,
it's
the Vero leader seems to not care that there's this rebellious faction among his people who want to leave.
Well,
and then they just do.
He seems to think if he pretends they don't exist, they'll go away. Like, at first, you think maybe they're, trying to, oppress it and be like, no, everything's fine here. But you start feeling no, I think he genuinely just thinks if he ignores it, it'll go away. He is not a...
I mean, and that would have been fine if that was, he was like, oh, that's just a phase we all go through. There was a time where I wanted to leave the ship and go see things, but then but then you could talk about an experience where that got people killed, or it's there's a reason why we're cautious, there's a reason why we do the slow and steady, and that would have at least been kind of a compelling reason to have him sort of not acknowledge that it exists, thinking it's just a fad when in fact it's a movement.
Also, what's their goal?
We never really learn it.
They've probably passed by so many habitable planets by this point. They have warp. They're not a generational ship because they didn't have warp. So
maybe they're just nomadic or something.
Maybe it's just
I don't think they're going to a planet. I think they're just going.
That's and that's the thing is that is just I don't know. I don't think the writers actually thought the society through very well.
And they didn't even like fulfill the promise of having a generational ship. Like it wouldn't have made a difference if it were a generational ship or just any other ship, right? Because they don't explore that at all.
Not really. Yeah, no. We see a grand total of 3, maybe 4 people.
I mean, it feels to me like I don't know if this was just like one of those, you hear about those episodes where it's like, okay, somebody had this idea for a generational ship, and then it got to the writer's room, and then it just got torn to shreds and got rewritten by somebody else. Yeah. And like the seed of the original idea, which was generational ship, is here, but nothing else related to it.
I could totally see that having been the case, yeah.
Yeah, I have a note here that I found that Biller, our friend in the writing room, he was interested in specifically the story of people staying in an unhealthy relationship. And then they tacked onto that this subplot about this kind of revolution on the generational ship that he was never really happy with because it was kind of just tacked on. So I agree. I agree with you, Kenneth Biller.
I don't think it would have been good even without it, though.
So I guess he also lost the aspect of it being an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because Tal was great. She was, like, totally cool.
Yeah, like, the only unhealthy...
I kind of wish it were killing him.
Something, or if, like, after a while you're trying to think, oh, is she just using him for access to Voyager's... But no, it's not. She seems to genuinely like him.
Yeah, no, she was great. I mean, I feel like part of the issue, if it actually properly went the unhealthy relationship route, is it would really feel like, oh, it's the soul sucking woman partner who's like destroying the man. Like,
oh God, and we already got a terrible one of those in DS9.
Yeah,
was that the Muse?
Yeah,
God, there's been a few instances of that. There was an instance of the guy doing it too. So I mean, I guess they're equal opportunity, so it's fine, right?
Oh yeah, man of the people.
Oh, God. Yeah, but that was actually kind of was it a good episode, or was the makeup just good? I can't remember.
Oh, you hated that episode.
I did? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you wouldn't have liked that episode.
It had decent makeup, and Troy was smoking. Like middle-aged Troy was pretty hot.
Yeah, it's some of the few, like, well, before she went full raisin, it was actually some of TNG's only good old age makeup. That's what, the makeup was good, but the episode was a fucking pile. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it made
include Grandma's alien.
Oh,
God.
God.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
That's right.
I thought you were talking about Sabrosa.
Oh, no.
That's true, too. Yeah, so, I mean, they're about 50-50 at this point, right? It's fine. Although it does seem to speak to some of the head writers and producers maybe having relationship problems.
Yeah.
Don't all people have relationship problems, though? I mean...
So, speaking, though, of the leader of the...
Varro?
The Varro.
Varro.
You know, we mentioned this, we were talking about Star Trek parodies off air, and he would appear in the not picked up Star Trek spoof, which was apparently created by Jonathan Frakes, called Star Patrol. He was the captain, apparently.
He wasn't a great actor, at least not in this.
I mean, maybe he was directed to be that way.
I don't know much.
It was bad. It wasn't.
I don't know much about him. He apparently was briefly the weekend update anchor on Saturday Night Live in 1980, but somehow managed to say fuck on air and got fired.
Oh no.
What's his name?
Charles Rocket.
Okay.
Stop. Doesn't have his real name?
What?
Great name, though. Yeah, we opened this episode, and it struck me as very strange, the first couple of scenes, as they're just kind of milling about through the Varro ship, and for some reason, all the angles that they were using made Janeway look like she was just a doll-sized. Like, she was just tiny, and I don't think the guy, I think his name is Jipek, but I don't know if it's ever said.
It is not, I think.
Great.
I just saw it on his Memory Alpha page.
Yeah, I don't think he was terribly tall, and I don't think Kate Mulgrew was terribly short, but it just made her look like she was just in a ditch wandering around on this bridge.
They really wanted to test out those things they saw in Lord of the Rings, you know, the Force perspective to make Gandalf look big. So.
Oh, God.
Kate Mulgrew is 5'5".
Hey, that's how tall I am.
Yeah, so not particularly short.
No, she's average for a woman.
We also don't know, like, what the boot heels are like.
Yeah, Jipek was definitely in boot heels.
I really, speaking of the beginning of the episode, I really like that swoop in we got.
You
where
did?
I thought
it
was
looked
cool.
real fake. But
Well, I mean,
It looked.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it looked
But it's-
fake, but it was a good thing.
Yeah, it was interesting and very different. Like,
It's not something Star Trek does a lot.
Something
No.
I noticed that Star Trek doesn't usually do is the way Voyager was docked was on its side relative
yeah,
to
that was
the
cool.
other ship.
Yep.
You don't see that much.
3D space.
yeah, it was weird seeing Tom Paris hanging on to like his con and like falling down towards
I
the
know.
wall because the ship was sideways.
Tom, man, now that he can't get busted down any further, Tom fucking taking risks for Harry, screwing with the communications.
So I kind of want to bring up like the whole beginning chunk of this episode like has some really interesting and good character writing. Like the rest of the script is really unfocused and kind of all over the place, but like I really liked that they had some scenes that were about nothing. You know, like Tom Paris was basically Tom Paris was just like nerding out real hard about like the ship and was just trying to he was like bothering Tuvok.
Oh, that was
and like
cute.
wouldn't let it go, and Tuvok was like, oh really, oh, is that so? Yeah. and then eventually Tom Paris gives up and Chakotay says, that was only like 2 minutes. How'd you do it? And Tuvok says, oh, I just waited for his own illogic to overwhelm him. Like,
Yeah, because no one would want to recreate Vulcan in their quarters. No one. Even Vulcans.
Especially Vulcans.
yeah, that's right. He was talking about like a way to do the holodeck, but like in your
Yeah.
brain or in your room. Yeah, there's just so few of those just straight character interactions where you get to like see these unique people interact. So it was real nice.
How Vulcan pissed was Tuvok that Neelix was right, by the way?
About...
Oh,
There being like a
stowaways?
stowaway.
Oh yeah, the stowaway.
Yeah.
Because at
Aww.
first he's like, Mr. Vulcan, stuff seems weird. And he's like, yeah, okay, fuck you. Then he reads all the stuff and it's just like, oh, that little fucking rat
Yeah.
bastard might be right.
well, it's really alarming that so Neelix comes to Tuvok and says, "Hey, someone used my replicator without permission." And Tuvok is like, "Oh no, someone used the replicator in the kitchen." And Neelix says, "Yeah, but then they like rerouted life support using the replicator." And then Tuvok starts paying attention. Why can you do that? Why can you
Why can you walk
reroute
onto the
vital
bridge?
systems? It's like, oh, geez, I was using my replicator and I accidentally deactivated life support in my room and now I'm dead.
I don't know, stowaway guy seemed to think everything on the ship was like really like elementary. Like
Yeah.
everything was easy to him. He's like, I've been here 4 days, you didn't notice.
I could see that because it's a generational ship. They would all like their systems must be really protected in order to prevent people from from fussing with them, because everyone would know how to do everything and they don't want people messing with stuff. So their
Yeah,
security is
that's-
probably through the roof compared to Voyager.
And like Caitlin brought up Mass Effect earlier, there's a species in that is sort of part of a generational fleet. And they're all just natural engineers because they kind of have to be, because all their stuff is constantly breaking. So like everyone's just really good at all tech. But yes, in answer to your question, Rossi, why can we do this? Starfleet doesn't lock its fucking doors.
I know.
They have no concept of good security protocols.
Speaking of, Harry Kim stole a ship.
I did.
That has happened so many times now that, yeah.
It's like, yeah, Janeway had me doing some garbage chores. I got them done early, so I stole the car. It's like, how does no one notice this?
Yeah, I drove
mean-
off with my girlfriend to make
think
out
they-
point.
They did notice, didn't they?
Actually, eventually, yes.
Maybe eventually, but
I'm guessing- I
eventually is
think they
not
were
the
looking
second
for
he
her.
left. Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
They were trying to find her.
That's kind
probably.
There's a good chance that if they weren't looking for her, they might not have noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is what? Shuttle theft 3,805? Like,
It's no surprise, but it's just it gets so ridiculous.
I mean, there's that time that bitchy teenager stole
Yeah.
a shuttle.
I mean, the motherfuckers just really needed... Ah, god damn it, ruined my own joke. What was that fucking 90s?
club.
The club.
The club.
They just needed the club.
Oh.
I knew
yeah.
that's where you were going. I'm sorry, I should have spoken up quicker.
All I could think was Low Jack, and I'm like, that's not
Yeah.
it.
Well, same category.
Yeah. Ugh.
I actually thought Harry's exchange with Janeway when he's getting all in her face about, have you ever been in love? How would you feel if someone said, I'll give you this pill to make you erase your feelings of love? for like your ex-fiance Mark and all this shit. And that's a good point, Harry.
It is. And for all that the dialogue in a lot of that monologue was kind of stilted, I think Wong did a pretty good job seeing what he'd been given. That line, yes, was good, though. Like Kirk, Harry needs his pain.
Yeah.
He's lucky Janeway didn't take a phaser and set it to, delete all evidence of your murder. Was that the same with the cool shot where they walked from the ready room through the bridge to Janeway's office?
No, the monologue was
there was a one shot. No, there was a one shot with Harry.
That was
where they cross all the way over, and I thought that once they got into the office, that's where Harry started having his moment.
Was it?
Oh, it's nice. I wish I noticed.
But yes, I remember that. I did notice the shot. Yeah,
it's really cool because again, another thing they don't ever do.
No.
And so it's neat because you would have had to have all the actors on the bridge basically just waiting around, hoping that Kate and Garrett don't mess up their lines,
or whoever has to open the doors. As
well, they do it multiple times, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, they may not have had to open the doors if I was filming it, I would have just made sure that the doors weren't ever really quite in frame,
Yeah.
You wouldn't know they're closed. You'd look at them and they're open. You play the
sound effect
exactly.
once they're off camera.
Exactly.
Fix it in post.
Yeah.
Or just, someone just trips on nothing.
I mean, as far as I know, they only had one door opening guy, and it was literally the same person the entire show. So the door opening guys union is real strict.
But there's some job security. What's your job? I'm the door guy on Voyager.
Apparently he was really nice and he'd mess up sometimes. I think he'd been doing it for years. I think he'd started on TNG if I'm remembering correctly.
So he was just the door guy.
He was getting older and sometimes he wouldn't be fully paying attention and people would run full tilt into doors.
I imagine he wasn't the door guy on DS9 though. Those doors were huge. Those probably actually had mechanical components.
Oh, possibly.
I don't know.
The big gear doors, I mean, not the slidey. I guess he would have done the slidey.
I think those would just roll.
Yeah, they probably just rolled.
Mm.
They had a roll guy.
Mm.
Yeah, but they're all all the doors I've seen them. They're all counterweighted, so it doesn't take a lot to open them.
Okay, this has been Door Corner.
Yeah. Have we ever thought about, because going back to Harry getting STDs from this woman and that being the disease? I don't know how much we've ever talked about why we don't get sick or get other aliens sick all the time when we first start talking with them.
I mean, the scientific reason is that theoretically the biology would be so different that the odds of a disease crossing over would be almost nothing. Not actually nothing, but incredibly low. Most diseases we get, we can't even give to our closest relative. There are instances where, a disease is capable of, jumping from birds into people.
But Rossi,
that's not great.
You're forgetting. Almost the entire galaxy was seeded by the potato monsters.
Oh my god.
Right.
Which is why potatoes are so delicious today.
I mean, what about time travel? How come we're not getting everybody sick in history every time we time travel?
Oh god, yeah. Oh no, we gave them the space flu. They have no defense against it.
Yeah, there's a bleak sci-fi concept. Somebody invents time travel, goes back in time to witness, I don't know, something great in history, and gives everybody in history some incredibly common and currently curable disease.
Yeah, goes back to watch Edith Keeler get run down.
and then literally wipes out the human race.
Whoops.
We've all been there.
I'm gonna go back in time, step on a butterfly, and fuck up everyone's spelling.
I knew it was you, Chris.
Ha-ha!
No one gets that reference.
I
get that reference.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a reference?
It is.
It is, yeah.
Oh, I don't get it then.
I do not get it.
It's Sound of Thunder by Bradbury, right?
I honestly can't remember. All I remember is went back in time, stepped on a butterfly, went to the future, and an election was lost by several points instead of won by several points, and they spelled things different. That's what happens when you step on a prehistoric butterfly.
I thought you were...
The Simpsons did a parody of that,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yes.
No donuts.
Oh no, it's raining again.
Yeah, I thought you were referencing that episode.
No, that episode was referencing what I was referencing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've
I got it.
reference.
There's an Ashton Kutcher movie called
Oh no,
The
Butterfly Effect. Oh,
is it
boy.
any good?
It's I put it in the same category as movies like The Faculty,
But you love the faculty.
I do
Jake.
love the faculty.
Doesn't mean it's
but
good,
Will
though.
I say
So
that the faculty
you
is
love
good?
it even though it's bad?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean-
like the faculty, Final Destination, like that whole like teenager sci-fi nonsense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
with
love
that.
something and acknowledge it's terrible.
It's not good. It was fun.
I love the movie Van Helsing. It is one of the worst movies ever made.
I thought you were gonna say like I love Caitlin.
Oh,
Oh.
you're not a movie.
That's true. But I think you said love something.
True. Yeah.
I like that you said I'm not a movie, but not that I'm not terrible. Wait a second. I just got seriously owned.
Took you a minute.
I'm blonde under all this dye.
So the last thing I wanted to bring
Yes.
up about the disease. So the Vero, I don't know if it's Vero or Varo. I keep saying Vero, but fuck it. Their generational ship. You'll remember a couple months back, question marks, we were talking about the largest fictional spacecraft list because the Voth city ship was on that. Mm-hmm. This ship is also on that list because if you did the calculation, it would be about 5.8 miles in length.
Oh. Yeah, it
Ship-
looks pretty
5
big.
Yeah,
miles
Ship's too long.
long.
If I walked, episode would be over.
But it was, it was more like a bunch of little ships kind of
Yeah, I like
together.
that it was modular.
Yeah, that was a cool touch. One thing I do want to say on this episode, just because it dovetails into the next one, is like Janeway was like kind of crappy again in this episode in a lot of ways. Like she had a quote specifically like talking about like Kim. She was talking to Chakotay about how Kim was kind of riling her up, and Chakotay says like, "Well, you want to hear it from me when I question your orders," and she was like, "Yeah, but Harry Kim hasn't earned the right to question my orders." Which is like that's really red flaggy. Like I would not be okay like working with someone who had that kind of attitude about people.
Well, but she is the captain. I mean, like, really nobody has any right to question her orders.
I don't know. I just like I wouldn't want to be on that ship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
and that's just
especially,
some of the things Harry has contributed over the years. You'd think, I will listen to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're part of my senior staff. It's been 5 years of a very unusual situation. You should have been promoted by now.
Yeah. And she was also like really paternal and pushy to the aliens, basically. Like they were just like, look, I really don't want you messing with our stuff. And she's like, well, we're gonna have to, so give me your stuff, we're gonna mess with it. And then later she basically admits that she's like, well, I'm helping them, and then maybe they'll help us and give us their technology, like kind of betraying the fact that like her help is not altruistic. Like I don't know, like there's a lot of times Janeway looks real ugly to me.
I mean, I can imagine, not having to be altruistic all the time with this type of stuff. Like, because otherwise, why would they be involving themselves with these people?
I will grant you that, but I will say that like helping people with no expectation of anything in return is a Starfleet ideal in an episode where she is ragging on Harry for not following Starfleet ideals like very, very, very closely. And then she's just kind of like, whatever, we went in there and started messing with their stuff. Hopefully they'll give us something, or otherwise I guess it's okay, we help them.
I mean, it also, interestingly, that reminded me also that they talk a lot in this episode about the supposed wonderful technology that these people have.
Their ship seems kind of like a piece of junk.
It seems like a piece of junk. Great. We never see this technology. It's just talked about a little bit.
They apparently still use a lot of grease and oil on.
Yeah, everyone's all covered in friggin' dirt.
They should have had that Demolition Man sex scene between Tal and Kim.
There you go. That's the technology.
Yeah.
Yay.
That's what Tom Paris was talking about.
Man, we gotta do Demolition Man one day.
Yes, we do.
Rossi can be on it. It's really great.
It's so good.
Speaking
and then,
of
Harry Kim, and then Neelix, the technology he gets is Taco Bell.
I'm gonna move us on because I'm done with this.
Yep.
And we're gonna talk about Course Oblivion now. And annoyingly,
Sounded like you said Corpse Oblivion.
I didn't. I said Course Oblivion.
But apropos.
And annoyingly, the OpenAI chat thinger is just throwing errors at me, so I can't give you whatever they think Course Oblivion is. But I think I tried it earlier and it got it more right, so it would be less funny. So jump in, start talking Course Oblivion. Here's the deal. Here's the deal in Course Oblivion, guys. It's Tom and B'Elanna's wedding day. That happens. It goes. But we start seeing all this molecular decohesion going on all around the ship, and that can't be good. And suddenly Torres up and dies. And that's a bad start for a marriage. So basically what's happening is everything is slowly melting. The ship, the people, the food, everything. Except for the stuff that they've brought on board in the last couple of months. And Tuvok and Chakotay start playing detective, and they figure out that, we recently watched the Voyager episode Demon from last season. You all were there with us. Rossi was here.
For those of you that weren't, we're going to spell it out in an awkward dialogue exchange.
Oh, that was so bad.
Yeah, and they realize, whoopsie, we're silver blood duplicates from that episode, and they recap it because the audience is dumb. Existential crises all around. But wait. The question now is, should we go forward towards Earth? Because at heart, we're the same people, down to the fucking chromosome. Or do we go back to the demon planet where we can survive and maybe watch a bunch of other Voyager episodes to spell out for people? And it turns out they do fucking neither, because everyone is just dying the fuck off. We watched Chakotay bite it, we watched Janeway bite it, and finally Harry Kim is left in charge, so you know things are going terribly. And he tries to hail the real Voyager. Holy shit, actual Janeway might come and save the day, and they're coming to the rescue, and we see real Janeway and the rest of the crew that isn't turning into fucking slime monsters. And they're on their way, and they get to the meetup point, and there's just all this debris and silver blood floating out in space, and they wonder what that was about. Oh well, warp factor fun, and they fucking leave.
This is so complicated for me because I recognize that on paper, it is a phenomenal piece of work. But I hate it so much because it makes me so sad.
Oh no!
Which I know is its point. It wants me to be sad. Like, it is so good as a piece of science fiction, as a piece of Star Trek, as everything.
It's just so bleak.
It's so hopeless and bleak and doomed, and
I love bleak shit. Yeah. This is my jam.
I think that's the thing. I was an English lit major. I watch a lot of sad movies. I think because it's Star Trek, I'm like, no. Plus, it fucking pulls the rug out multiple times, and it's like, what would happen if Star Trek characters didn't have plot armor?
Yes.
And that's amazing. Yeah. And everyone does really well. And they all die beautifully. And it's such a good episode. It makes me so inconceivably sad. I remembered this episode.
Yeah,
when we got to it, I was like, oh no,
me up.
Not this one. Because when I first saw it, when I was, you said it was 99, so I was either 13 or 14. So like, as a kid, I just hated it full stop because nuance.
Because how dare you have feels?
Yeah, teenagers don't understand nuance. I'm an adult now, and again, like, it's so goddamn, but also so sad.
Yeah, it really messed me up when I first watched it. Like, it was just a lot. Like,
it's so much. It still is. Yeah. I'm still having trouble dealing with it.
I feel
almost
like
40.
I feel like there's like the way it hits when you're first watching it and you don't expect it.
Right.
Especially when you're a baby child, like, that hits so incredibly hard.
It really does. They don't even get the fucking time capsule out. You're like, nothing.
I know.
There is nothing.
Oh my god. Yeah, freaking Kenneth Biller. Like, they had less bleak versions, and they just decided, you know what? People need a day to be sad, and this is going to be our day to be sad, because they had an ending in which they at least got the time capsule out, and it just was out, and you never saw what happened to it. They did like, here's our inner light capsule, because we watched that episode too, along with Demon. And it was just out there. And then was another one where they actually did encounter the real Voyager. And they still probably died, but they talked with them. And they said, no, fuck that. Let's rip everyone's heart out.
I am okay. I'm okay with them dying. I'm okay. Like, I wish that the probe got out. Like, that's the one thing I wish, and like, because it would still be devastatingly sad. Don't ever mention what happens to it. I would probably say, like, I would probably do something like they launch it when they're in the slipstream, so they don't even know where it's going to come out. They just, like, you know, it's like the only comfort is that maybe it still exists out there, not that they know someone will find it. And I think that would have still been a sad ending with like just enough hope in it to keep you from just hating everything and being like, the universe is cold and unfair and there's no oxygen out there and the universe hates you.
Rossi, to quote Seinfeld, no hope for you.
Yeah.
Aww. I want to know what Caitlin thinks, because I think the four of us have all seen this episode before, so we knew it was going to get sad. But I want to know what Caitlin saw going in cold.
I thought it was fucking stupid. I had no idea why they were trying to get to Earth. There was no point in them trying to get to Earth, because they were going to die. There was literally no point. I was so mad the whole time. I was like, just go back to the planet where you won't die, stupids.
Oh my god. Oh,
I did want a movie.
Caitlin, no.
I'm sorry. I found it really boring.
No.
And I was so
harsh.
mad.
No.
Because I was like, why are you not doing the only thing that makes sense? You know that you can't possibly survive. What is the point of going forward? You're going to die anyway.
Being fair, I also think just the best plan was, let's try to find the closest Class Y we can. Because we know that the other one is kind of a ways off. And
Yeah.
you're probably more likely to find another one, because even if they don't stop and dick around every 5 minutes like they normally do on Voyager, I'm sure getting back there would have taken a while. Of course, they did eventually find one, but miners ruin everything.
They're the worst.
So I feel like, so once the crew discovers that, like, oh, we're actually the silver blood aliens and we're dying unless we get like to somewhere more hospitable where we're supposed to be.
I mean, maybe we don't even know if that would have worked.
Yeah, no, I know we don't know that would work, but like Janeway makes the decision being like, no, I'm still Janeway and home is Earth. And I feel like this entire episode is kind of like part of it is like an excuse to kind of deconstruct Janeway as a leader, where her kind of megalomaniac, maniacal like drive to get home at any cost ultimately killed everybody on the ship, which is probably what would have happened multiple times over the show if they didn't have the plot armor. Like, because this decision makes sense.
Kept trying to blow up the damn ship.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's exactly what real Janeway would do. Every decision that was made by the same characters. They just, you know, were silver blood clones. Like, you can ignore that basically. All their decisions are consistent with the rest of the show, but it gets them killed because that's what would actually happen based on like Janeway's leadership style and what they're up against. Being
fair to Janeway, take away their plot armor and everyone would die is true of pretty much every Star Trek.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Like,
yeah, hands down.
You know, I once read someone, you know, they like, fiction makes a lot more sense if you follow the path of quantum immortality, where basically, you know, we actually just jump to every version where people survive, and there are so many where they did not.
Yeah.
I like that.
But
yeah, it also seems to me like it like Janeway is so used to having the plot armor in universe that she can't even comprehend that, oh, we won't find a solution to this soon.
It's a very meta episode in that regard.
Yeah, did she say in this episode something along the lines of like, oh, we've been through tough spots before and things like that,
probably.
But it's also like she's also like saying those kinds of things after B'Elanna is dead, which is a thing that doesn't normally happen.
Yeah. She almost died a lot of times.
Yeah.
She did die a couple times.
The fact that like Harry Kim is the only one that survives to the end is like it's like payback for all the times that he just died, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh God.
I feel like Clone Tom was done dirty in this episode, because like he had like the nice wedding and like the really like heartbreaking goodbye with B'Elanna that was like really solid and good, but then they kind of just made him grumpy the rest of the episode and then they killed him off screen. Like, I was like,
I loved Tom this whole episode because he's on the verge of mutiny the whole fucking time, and Janeway has to keep telling him either mutiny or stay or shit or get off the pot. God damn it, Tom. He gave this great line when they first figure out, because he's he's in mourning over his dead wife.
Yeah.
And B, having all these existential crises. And the line he gives is when Kim just comes over and says, "Hey, Tom, there's no one here by that name."
Yeah.
And I swooned because that's such a great line.
They're also the original copies, those two. They're the oldest on the ship.
Yeah, they're the oldest of the Silverbloods. Also, I think part of the reason why Tom seems to have a lot of swagger in this episode is because unlike the Tom in other episodes, this is Lieutenant Paris,
That's
not Ensign Paris.
The really very subtle clue that something's up at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, he's at the other Pip.
Yeah.
Well,
it's one of the first things they show in the episode is Tom Paris still as a lieutenant.
Well, when she actually does the wedding ceremony, she specifically uses his rank.
Yeah,
like
Lieutenant Eugene Paris.
And maybe if you're watching,
since they're in dress uniform, it's apparent because you look like, this is what the dress uniform looks like. Oh, that's where their pips are on the dress uniform, and your eyes go right there.
Yeah,
and maybe when you're first watching it, you write it off as as a wedding present, she re-promoted him,
or just a production mistake. You know,
they must have aired this out of order.
Yeah, they aired it out of order, or they forgot to show on screen.
But it's actually very subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah, so what's most fascinating is now we can look back at any episodes between Demon and now and ask, which crew did this episode happen to?
Unfortunately, we can probably determine they were all by the real crew because Tom Paris got demoted pretty fast after Demon.
Damn it.
So, unless...
Yeah, there's a very
that would have been really cool
band.
if they had known, if they had planned this ahead of time and actually had a few episodes where the only difference is Tom Paris as a lieutenant, and then you go back and you realize, oh my god, these things, it's like we're not even watching the real crew right now.
Didn't happen. Well, it happened, but
not. It's like, oh god, the real crew won't remember this.
It's really interesting to me, because I'm sure they weren't really thinking of it that much, but the differences that are there are really significant, right? So this Voyager has an enhanced warp drive that can get them back to Earth in 2 years.
Isn't it the thing
Where did
that's
they get
killing
that?
them?
Yeah.
Well, it is, but they even say, we knew about the radiation, but we knew that the radiation wouldn't harm human tissue.
Right.
So we thought it was fine.
Or Vulcan tissue.
Well, yeah.
They said humanoid.
No, they knew Vulcan.
Biological
they knew
matter.
Tuvok was dead. It really was going to kill Vulcans.
But because we're Silverbloods, it does affect us. So presumably, if they got their time capsule out or whatever, and the other Voyager had found it, maybe there was instructions on how to build this super fucking warp drive.
Yep.
Well,
That's
listen,
why
it's not Slipstream. Also,
Nope.
I thought it was Slipstream.
It's its own thing because because Demon was before
Hope and Fear. Damn.
So they don't know about Slipstream,
and it seems to run in a very different way. Like they're basically pushing the engine to its absolute limit.
Yeah, it just sounds like it's just like they boosted the engine to go 9.999.
We've reached warp 11.
Yeah. We broke we skipped the 10 barrier an hour up to
right
12
to 11.
or 13.
That's when you skip 10 and no one turns into lizards.
Damn it, but I want to be lizards.
This warp engine goes up to 11.
Yep.
Here's my actual question. The one thing that took me out of this episode multiple times. Yes, we're all duplicates. Fine. We saw that happen at the end of Demon. A+, thumbs up. You brought something back from a previous episode. Sure, they have the ship because the planet just made the ship for you. I accept that too. But the EMH, how is he also a duplicate? How is he affected in the exact same way?
They copied the ship as well, and they copied all the data in the ship. So they basically made
including his mobile emitter.
Including his mobile emitter.
They actually comment on the mobile emitter. That gets brought up.
Okay, here's why it works.
Tell me.
Because of Voyager's experimental bioneural gel pack driven computer.
Well, we know
they
we
can
know
copy. No, cancel.
They can copy non-organic material because they copied uniforms.
No, I know, but I'm just saying they
and the con badge.
Yeah, but just the fact that, if there was any doubt, the computer is technically organic, so it's even easier.
Yeah, but also, when, remember, Voyager, the ship, got stuck in the Silverblood.
Yep.
So the Silverblood definitely got a good sample of Voyager to copy. So
Good
I buy
sniff.
it. Yep. And another thing I thought of, something I picked up on when they're in the astrometric lab and they're talking about when Tuvok and Chakotay are going through the past missions. They and when they got to the demon planet, they mentioned it was in the fucking shit. Now I'm blanking on the name.
Begins with a V.
The Jankum? I don't fucking know.
Jankum Pog?
Venkman?
Yes. The sector. They named the where the planet was. And it was the planet it was the sector from Living Witness. So that, I think, confirms that Living Witness happened contemporaneously with, like, the backup of the Doctor in Living Witness is from the same time in chronology when the episode would have been.
Yeah, because that's right. Because when we talked about it, we said we don't know when that happened.
Yeah, we don't know when the backup happened, but it turns out that the backup must have happened right around the time of Demon, which was right around the time of Living Witness.
Yeah.
So
Here's a silver blood cat. There seems to be so many of this cat.
I'm so sorry.
Very
He's
bratty cat.
so loud. You say hi, Glue? That's Fred.
Vaskin.
Vaskin.
There we go.
Baskin Robbins.
He's a handsome kitty.
He's very good looking. He's fucking annoying, though. He won't shut up. I knew this was going to happen, and I was like, is there any other place I can conceivably get away from these cats? And the problem is there's just no doors.
I liked that apparently Seven didn't spend any time in engineering during the development of this new warp core. You know, because the reason B'Elanna died first is because she's been, like, touching the warp core all day, every day. And I guess 7 of 9 just wasn't working on the new engines at all because she managed to last longer than everyone else as well.
But
for
like, technology,
stuff.
You know?
I mean,
no,
if
it's still
going
copied.
If we're going back to around that time, B'Elanna didn't care for 7.
Oh, that's true.
So
She kept
it's
her out.
possible that, like, 7 was not allowed to help with the engine.
That's fair,
that's fair.
actually.
Like, and in fact, that scene when B'Elanna's supposed to be going to her honeymoon and she's, like, begrudgingly leaving it in 7's care, you can tell she's like, I don't really want to go. I mean, I do, but also, no, my baby.
Well, it's a mix of, oh no, my baby, and also, oh god, Tom is going to pick the dumbest honeymoon.
Yeah, his choice of honeymoon did not sound very fun.
It was very Tom.
Yeah,
I want to hang her at a hotel for a week.
A hotel in 1920 Chicago. Like, maybe, I don't know, does B'Elanna have any interests that maybe you could have, like,
Champagne?
gone off of?
She
Yeah.
doesn't.
Champagne? No, it's illegal, so there will be no
That's
champagne.
right, yeah.
God.
No, that thing is, it's genuine bathtub hooch, so there's a good chance it could kill them.
Ah, there you go.
We're going to drink this with the safeties off.
That's funny.
I loved Harry's little, like, they're saving the pain sticks for the bedroom and the honeymoon.
Hated that. Genuinely hated that. Not the way I hate and yet love
No, that
this.
was like
This is
that's like
actual
the, that's
hate.
like the cringy uncle that says something awkward at the wedding.
Yeah.
Or like when the man of honor or whatever the fuck, best man, when they like miss the assignment and forget the assignment, but they just say really horrible things like, now I know Tom, and I remember when he was fucking 4-5 women a week.
All
and they're
Delaney
like, oh
sisters.
my god, no. The Delaney sisters, the Delaney cousins, even the Delaney mother, if you know what I mean.
So one thing that was good, though, was a few weeks ago, I said, oh man, it's been a while since they brought up Harry's clarinet. I wonder if it'll ever come up again. And it did!
Oh, that was cute.
He played at the wedding.
They were playing Heart and Soul.
They were.
I
Public
don't think
domain.
in the future they would still be throwing rice. I think a lot of the really stupider customs that we do today for no fucking reason would just stop.
I haven't
Well,
been
they
to
don't
a
really
wedding
do-
that
they
threw
don't do
rice in
rice.
probably 40 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they don't do rice
30
now
years, maybe.
because
I'm
it
not
like
40
kills
yet.
pigeons or whatever.
I was about to say, they throw the rice and then, like, some bird alien eats it and its stomach explodes.
Yes.
Poor hyper chicken lawyer.
Yes. But
I like
yeah.
that we still see the doctor doing his photography thing. Some good continuity there.
Yep. Yeah, apparently, though, Rossi, you started to bring this up last time, apparently the Borg just never assimilated Denobulans. Because they are all about multiple partners.
Oh, is that the Enterprise doctor?
They don't exist yet, so
I feel like Seven's attitude and then that doctor later, which I only know through reputation. I feel like someone on the production team was kind of like must have been non-monogamous or had non-monogamous aspirations.
Well, if he were still alive, it would have been Gene, but
yeah. But yes, that was a little unexpected. You know, it's like, wow, you've gone from just not seeing the point of romantic partnership to being like, I gotta make up for lost time.
Yeah.
I need to fuck my way through space, and more power to her.
Yeah, I mean, she I don't know, it was fine. She's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, because there was that time with Harry Kim where Harry Kim was like, hey, Seven, I kind of like you, and 7 and 9 was just like, okay, do you want to like bang? Because
strip.
like we could just go do that because she doesn't care. Like, she's just like, it's just another thing that people do. Whatever, it'll be better for efficiency, and we'll both feel good. So whatever.
It would be illogical to fuck you.
Yeah. It's like, oh god, look, I don't want to do this will they, won't they shit. Let's just do it and never speak of it again. For fuck's sake.
It's just like, well, we'll do it or not.
But this feels a little less like that and more just like, I want to try stuff.
Yeah,
which again,
I mean, that's fine too.
That
that still fits in with that attitude where it's she just like there isn't that sentimentality to sex, but it also isn't like this like preoccupation with like the productiveness of sex, where sex is only important if it's like resulting in procreation or like serves a purpose. It's just it's just neither of those. It's just sex is a thing, whatever. Like it'd be better to do more of it than less. Okay.
Speaking of doing more sex than less, we have some good Janeway Chakotay scenes in which they have a weekly dinner now, or maybe this particular versions of them do a weekly dinner.
We have seen some dinners between real Janeway and Chakotay, but whether or not they are weekly for the real ones is not clear.
Yeah, but I thought they had a really nice rapport, especially considering... Like, Chakotay is very in character when he's trying to say, the crew is feeling this. We're all having memories of being a pool of biomimetic fluid. And Janeway says, what life even was that? That wasn't even life.
Chakotay just
sounds
wants to
great.
I'm down. Chakotay wants to go back to the goo planet and build goo tubs.
Yeah,
Yay!
That's it. We're doing the end of Evangelion. It's fine. We're all going to be goo.
I don't know the show.
I know, I'm sorry. I was really hoping Chris would get that one.
Yeah,
of course you were.
James and I are just trading references only
Chris
he and I
and
are going to
only
get.
Chris.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. Sometimes Chris can have an inside joke as a treat.
But two in one episode, flipping a table now.
To your point from earlier, though, Ross, that I was thinking about, like, Janeway, I feel like in a way what happens, I almost interpreted it as goo Janeway. Like, when she finds out she isn't Janeway, like, Tom gets depressed, Chakotay stays Chakotay, Janeway decides I am gonna Janeway extra hard to prove how Janeway I am.
Yes!
Yeah.
Like, she's almost like play acting at Janeway, and that's part of the reason she really overdoes everything.
Yeah, there was another good line. I forget who says this. I think Janeway says, I'm going to get our people home where we belong. And I think Chakotay's line is, how do you know where we belong? And then I swooned again, because holy shit, this episode just keeps punching you in the face with what is reality? Are we still people? What is a person?
Yeah.
Oh God, my brain.
I don't know if I don't know if this would actually have been better, but there's the moment where Janeway, after Chakotay dies, because Janeway, Janeway outstubborns him, and so he just dies. Janeway's like, well, now that someone I actually care about is dead, I'm like, B'Elanna, let's turn around.
Yeah.
So the last episode, Tuvok just outstubborns Tom, and in this episode, Goo Janeway outstubborns Goo Chakotay.
But so then she says, all right, turn around. We're heading back to the demon planet. I think maybe it would have been nicer if she said, all right, let's turn around. We're heading home. And like acknowledging that, like, it's like we need to go back to where we're actually from. Like, it's our only hope.
That would be interesting.
I don't know if it would have been better, because then it would have been like a very obvious change in Janeway. Like, if you keep Janeway as actual Janeway's character, then home is always going to be Earth. But so that's why I don't know if it would necessarily. It would be poignant, but maybe wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the fascinating thing about this episode is they are all the same characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they are all dealing with this new information and crisis in the way that their characters would. Also, I'm glad they didn't make Tom watch them turn B'Elanna into sludge.
Ugh.
Yeah, it would have been too much.
Although they did keep B'Elanna's sludge in like a beaker and just left it like left it in sync. Yeah, they were like, so this is us.
That had to be B'Elanna. She was the only one that had bitten it at that point.
Oh god.
It was just a tube of B'Elanna goo.
It's made even more tragic when they stick a wig on it.
Is it possible she just reverted back into the silver blood and like actually could work again?
They're dead. They are.
I was interpreting it as like whatever makes the silver blood able to become alive is now destroyed, and it is dead.
There is no hope in this episode, Jake.
Yeah.
None.
That's true. Man, how bleak.
It is.
It's very bleak.
Yeah. It's just
They should have just pushed the thing out of like the probe with all of everyone's logs and the data and stuff, and they should have just pushed it out of a cargo bay.
Yeah, but then it would have disintegrated too anyway.
Because it was made of the same stuff.
No, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
Seven
No.
specifically made it out of stuff that they had acquired.
Oh,
yeah. They
onions and shit that Neelix picked up.
Yeah, I mean, really, Neelix was the one getting everything, so it was him that made it possible. But yeah, no, it was stuff that was not made of, that wasn't degrading. And the problem was it was like a probe, and they like tried to shoot it, but like the shooting mechanism broke, and then I think they might have said like the area it was in like buckled and like crushed
squished it.
And like even as a kid, like after I watched the episode and had a good sad about it, I was like, why did they just take the probe and push it out of a cargo bay? Why did they need to shoot it? This is why this happened.
Yeah, why not just leave it in the ship, and when the ship falls to pieces, it'll just be the thing that remains, like the black box of a plane.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they were worried the ship was going to explode and not just disintegrate.
I don't know.
Oh, you know what I noticed? When they were planning to land on the Class Y planet that the miners were being dicks on, Janeway called a red alert instead of a blue alert. Which is what they usually call for when they're landing.
Well, probably more dangerous this time because half the systems are borked.
Yeah.
Seriously, have there ever been miners in Star Trek that aren't awful?
I keep thinking of other awful ones, like the Devil in the Dark jerks.
Yeah, they're jerks. There's the jerks from Mudd's Women. Jerks everywhere. They're all jerks.
I really liked this episode.
I
really liked it.
It's so good, but I also despise it for making me feel the way it makes me feel.
Yeah. So this was a Brian Fuller episode. And
of course it was. That motherfucker loves death.
Right, but...
And making Chris sad.
So it would have been really interesting. So Brian Fuller was going to be the original showrunner for Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
This is the kind of writing you maybe would have been getting on Discovery.
I wish we had.
Me too.
Bastard loves death, though. God damn it.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. If you ever get the chance to hear Brian Fuller talk about Star Trek, it's always very entertaining because he gets very impassioned and swears a lot.
Like us.
Should invite him on. Invite him on the podcast.
Probably more.
Oh, I'm sure we could get him.
Yeah, do it.
Yikes.
Do it. Do it.
Anyway, speaking of us and us swearing all the time, fuck. I know Rossi needs to leave soon. Because he's sick with all of these diseases like love.
Turning into goo as we
I've got
speak.
the worst disease of all, which is family obligation.
Damn.
Not children, though. I don't want anyone thinking I have kids and then I just like don't want to take care of them. This is like we're Christmas-related family
James
stuff.
hates
It's
his
totally
children.
different. And this has been James.
I'm not cutting that in.
James is off. Good seeing you, James. I hope we see you again soon.
Good seeing you as well. Thank you so much for having me. And good luck.
Thank you
and
for
my
joining
favorite.
us for...
My favorite. Say what the blogtivity is so I can tell you my favorite.
Okay. As soon as Rossi leaves, we're all going to talk about different diseases in Star Trek.
My favorite disease is the one that turned Geordi into a weird salamander thing that went invisible.
I don't think that was a disease.
It was totally a disease. He got a disease. His friend got a disease too because they were on the planet. It was a disease.
I thought it
Okay.
was de-evolution.
It was not a disease.
No, that's Genesis.
Yeah,
was
that
different.
was a disease.
Thank you.
Why does
Yeah.
everything turn into lizards in this fucking show?
Thank you.
Thank you
Take
for joining
care
us
and
for the
good
saddest
night.
Star Trek ever.
Bye.
Bye, Rossi.
Thank you, Rossi.
Thank you.
So yeah, Ames, space diseases.
Yeah, of which there are many. So I expected there to be more like legit like outbreaks of disease in this episode based on the title, The Disease.
No, you fool.
But whoops, foiled again by Star Trek. But we're going to talk about like all the different diseases and plagues and shit like that we see our favorite Doctor characters and some of our less favorite Doctor characters have to cure or not cure or, just let run rampant. It's fine.
Or have cured for them by their hot new meteorite girlfriend.
Which one are you referring
Comet,
to?
asterisk. For the world is hollow and I've touched the sky.
Yay! I have that one on my list.
Has some kind of incurable space disease, but luckily the asteroid...
Xenopolycythemia.
Thank you. The asteroid people can cure it, so... On the one hand, hooray, he's cured. On the other hand, he can't stay with his hot asteroid girlfriend anymore.
There's no reason why he can't go back.
True.
My favorite one is renal failure, which, as we know, Dr. McCoy cures with a pill
Right.
in Star Trek 4.
What disease did she have?
I assume
Well, she needed dialysis, so yeah, probably renal failure or kidney
Well, maybe
disease.
Diabetes. Diabetes sometimes leads to that, but yeah.
There's a lot of stuff
kidney.
that requires dialysis.
Renal failure. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah. Either way, she grew a new kidney with whatever pill he gave her, so that was nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Real
Okay.
talk though, the quickening or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah,
quickening.
that's a great plague. Good episode for plagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love that we get Dax being like, Julian, you arrogant little fuck.
It was
Never-
the first major blow to his ego.
Yeah.
That was before he didn't win the Cunningham or whatever the fuck.
Carrington.
That's
Oh,
it,
wow.
thank you.
God. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Not sure what order that went in.
Was
to be honest.
it was it after he turned 30, which as we know is
Oh, that
ancient.
is basically death.
Yes.
That should be considered a disease.
Really, yeah. Oh, super space aging. That's been a disease twice now.
Which ones are you thinking of?
Deadly Years
Yeah.
and the one with Pulaski.
Yeah, that's unnatural selection.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah, two very different aging plagues.
Is space madness technically a disease?
I'd
I guess
say
it
it is.
Yeah,
It's
because they get it from.
contagious.
Well,
Yeah.
wait, are we talking about the
TOS one.
That kind
Yeah.
of space madness? Yeah.
I'm talking about both naked
Well,
time
but-
and
I
naked
mean,
now.
it's the same. It's the same madness. It's the same.
It's not really a disease, is it? Because it
It's
it-
you get so
it
you get
changes your
infected
water
with it.
into wine, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah. Well, it makes it so that you process water as though it were alcohol.
And it is communicable. But is it a disease or is it like a parasite, a species? I guess it's a disease.
I would say definitely a disease. Like, yeah, it came from like basically a contagion.
Yeah.
okay, fair enough.
Correction, sir. Blown out.
My favorite disease is Disease by Matchbox 20.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the unnatural selection, something Caitlin already, I think, kind of alluded to is the Barclay's whatever disease that causes people to reactivate dormant.
Oh, God, yeah. That's right. I forgot it was like
genes.
a mutated flu or something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was a mutated T cell
Okay.
that
Aren't
she had
T
injected
cells-
into him.
Aren't T cells the ones that fight off infection?
Yeah, so he was sick, and then Beverly injected him with some synthetic T cells to try and ward off whatever flu he had or whatever, and it mutated in his body and started making everybody de-evolve into other things.
God, what a bad episode.
But yeah, T cells are the ones that recognize, like, I think that's like when you get a vaccine, the T cells see the dead virus and they say, oh, okay. And then they come back later and they're like, oh, okay, this is the real deal. We know how to deal with this because we've met it before. That's what T cells do.
Not to be confused with T. Earl Grey hot cells.
Jesus Christ. So here's the another obvious one. Fucking Miri with everybody
Yeah,
turning.
children are a disease, aren't they?
Yeah.
Once you're an adult, you just die of this
I'm
disease.
sorry, it's a grup.
God damn it, Jake. That's what I was about to say, you fucker. God, speaking of bad episodes.
Yeah.
No, Miri's just
Oh yes,
terrible.
yeah. They do
Okay,
a
so
good
this
job keeping
isn't-
it contained. I'll give them that.
Yeah. This is a little different because we don't actually see it, but there's that planet that kidnaps Kirk because they want to
Yes.
infect themselves with
The Mark
something
of
he
Gideon.
had. Yeah,
Yep,
because
yep.
they had overpopulation.
Yeah.
Mm.
My God, we need your diseases. Okay. Yeah, which is why I was thinking about the whole why don't we just infect people all the time? Well, Kirk tried.
What about Babel?
Babel's a good one. They have the aphasia disease.
Not to be confused with Journey 2.
Okay,
but,
so you said Babel, and I thought Journey to Babel. I was like, what? Getting stabbed isn't a disease. That's attempted murder.
No, the one where on DS9 where they can't speak.
Yeah, that's
And they're dying.
And they're dying, yes. But it's exacerbated by the fact that they cannot speak.
So there's also Angel 1, if we want to harken back to fucking season 1 TNG days, when... So there's all the bullshit with the ladies happening on planet.
Yeah.
But on the ship, the reason why they can't just all be going back and forth from the ship is because there's a illness that is going around that was caused by like something that smelled like flowers or something.
I forgot all about that.
Everyone
that
got really
sick.
bad.
Yeah, Jesus, wow. Yeah.
Well,
It's an episode of too many plots.
Isn't there like a really serious scene where Bev is pretty sure they're all gonna die, so she's like trying to get Wesley ready to die or something?
I think that's right.
Oh my god, how bleak.
Speaking of smelling the flowers, how do we feel about
Justice?
No.
Oh, good.
Trampling. Flower planet from TOS.
The side of paradise.
Oh. Is that a disease?
I mean, you get spores and then you kind of
get
lose
high.
your mind.
That's a good question. But you
more
have
like it's more like allergies than a disease, you know?
Well, allergies would be a disease, I would say.
The thing is, and I don't know, like, by the scientific definition, does a disease have to be communicable? Because it seems like the only way to get it is directly from the flower.
No, because it got on the ship and the spores got into the air vents on the ship and everybody got it.
Well, yeah.
Like, yes.
But I guess what I mean, though, was like the spores had to be...
I don't think, no. A disease just means any malady, I would say.
Okay, I wasn't sure, to be honest.
I think what we need to do is delineate between what is a condition and what is a disease. And I don't know if there's a good way of saying what that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
We could probably skip it.
I mean, I would say a disease is, are you sick?
Fair enough.
Right? Like, what are we talking about? Because there's... If we're going to get... I don't know.
What about syndromes? Where do syndromes fit in?
God, no. Not syndromes.
I'll tell you where syndromes are.
This is what...
monologuing.
Yeah. I mean, we could start with the dictionary definition. What does disease mean?
Kind of was wondering, yeah.
Deep inside me, baby, feels... Sorry.
A disorder... of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that has a known cause and a distinctive group of symptoms, signs, and anatomical changes.
Okay.
Also in season 1 TNG, our good friend, our bestest friend, Admiral Jameson, he has Iverson's disease.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he actually had something aside from just old.
Yeah, he had this disease, and I think when he got young, it cured him.
That sounds like a possible thing, maybe.
Also, just generally being a dick. So that guy.
Well, that's just because he was an admiral.
That's not a disease. Yeah.
We have Sarek, who, speaking of being old, has...
Oh, yeah.
Tubin? Was that what it was? Tubin syndrome?
No, but I can't think of it.
I don't remember what they called it. But yeah.
Bendy.
Bendy syndrome.
Yep.
What the hell is Tubin syndrome?
I have no fucking
Did I make that up, or is that just like another word I've heard?
What's the thing that Quark thinks he has that the doctor say he's gonna die? Is that Tubin syndrome?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I forgot.
I know.
Maybe like bendy and tube, like bendy tubes, and like my brain made words.
I know that Picard has Irremotic syndrome.
So he has Irremotic
syndrome
syndrome in All Good Things, and then in season 1 of Picard, he has some other neurological disease that, spoiler alert, he dies from.
Spoilers. Jesus, Jake.
I'll put it in the description. Guys, Jake, you were weirdly close. There's Tuvin syndrome, which is a neurological disease that mainly affects Romulans, Vulcans, and Rigelians.
Yeah.
So it sounds like according to this, it's similar to Lou Gehrig's disease.
So it must be from some other Star Trek thing.
In 2375, Section 31 was under the impression that Koval,
Oh,
head
that's
of the
right.
Romulan Tal Shiar,
Oh,
had contracted
yeah.
That's
tubing
what
syndrome.
Soval had. Yeah.
Yep.
You're right. That's where I got it.
Speaking of Deep Space Nine, the infection of all of the changelings. When they just start turning into flaky things.
Yep, that
Gross.
fucking biological weapon Section 31 made the fuckers.
Yeah. Eczema awareness.
Oh, God. Terrible.
Oh, there's a good one in TNG. I'm just going through all the TNG ones while I'm sane. Because there's a lot.
So many.
In Haven, Troy's betrothed leaves her for a plague ship.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That worked out for her because he was a wet blanket.
Worked out for him too. He got to go bang that hot chick.
And Armin Shimmerman got to be a box.
The best. He had the best outcome.
What else does TNG give us?
Transporter psychosis.
Except he didn't actually have that. He was actually.
But it is talked about a lot. So we know it is a disease that exists.
Yep.
I think that's all I really had down for TNG because symbiosis, they didn't actually have a disease. They were just addicts.
Yep.
Addiction is a disease.
Well, that's a psychological disease, I guess. Well, no, there's a physical aspect. Oh, boy.
Yep. Now we've gone down the rabbit hole again.
I already cut the rabbit hole. I'm not doing it again.
Good.
Speaking of the rabbit hole, shore leave disease. We got any of that? Was that a disease?
No, that was just a machine. The phage. Quick, the phage.
Yes, the phage!
Oh, those disgusting
that's good.
Turns you into boogers.
Hate it.
I did just skip over the rest of DS9 and TNG, though. Were there any...
That's all I could think of from the rest of those.
Okay.
Well, but anyway, are we supposed to talk about all of them or just our favorite ones?
Yeah, just...
Whatever comes to mind. I put all of them on the blog post, so this helps me collect them all.
Oh, fair enough. Gotta catch them.
It also helps our listeners, because then they can go and check them all out on the blog post.
And decide what their favorite one is.
No, never mind. He called. I was going to say something about time, but that's the fire in which we burn, not a disease.
There's those gigantic virus things in Macrocosm.
Oh, God, that was such a bad episode. But yes, they are technically a disease.
Would you call whatever Kess had in Before and After? Okay, because everyone got that radiation sickness thing in Before and After when Kess was going back in time.
Yeah, it was an attempt to cure something she had, I think, that caused the backwardsness.
Well, wasn't
I don't remember what it was called, though.
It was radiation poisoning.
I will possibly look it up and put it on the Tumblr. There are a couple Enterprise episodes I don't know enough about, but they may end up on the Tumblr as well. Question for Jake, because I know Jake is caught up on Lower Decks. Would you call whatever happened to Ransom in the premiere a disease?
I don't remember the premiere of that show. Jesus.
I think there was some kind of an outbreak that happened in the premiere.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's one of the very early episodes I actually saw. Yeah, there was some kind of something going around. Yeah, that was probably a disease, wasn't it?
Sure.
Let's go with sure.
Let's take it.
Yeah, and the last ones I have are Strange New World episodes. Because if there are any in Discovery, that show all blends together in a generic shape of Michael Burnham, and I remember exactly nothing.
Yeah, but the Doctor's daughter has something.
Yes, in Strange New Worlds, the Doctor's daughter has that has the something.
Does Murph get a cold at some point in Prodigy, or am I making that up?
Oh,
I feel like I remember Murph sneezing.
No, because he goes through
Ponfar.
Crabination.
And the last one is there's an episode of Strange New Worlds where everyone gets this weird light disease.
Oh yeah,
where they start getting killed by light.
Yeah. Wow. God, my memory is terrible. That was only a few months ago, wasn't it? Jesus.
We were all just blinded by Anson Mount's beauty. It's completely natural.
That hair.
Oh, what about did we mention whatever it was that required Chakotay and Janeway to build tubs on that planet?
Oh, no, we didn't. That's a good one.
I mentioned the tubs earlier, but I did not. Yeah.
That was Resolutions.
Yeah.
Good thought, Jake.
Weird. I don't know if they named it, because I think it was unique to them, so it was probably the Janeway-Chakotay disease from that day forward. Which they just called it Janeway's disease.
There was already a Chakotay's disease, also named for Chakotay.
It's the disease that makes you take your clothes off whenever you meet someone new.
Yep.
And offer to build them a tub.
Glue, come on. Glue, I need 5 more minutes of you not yelling.
Glue is trying to contribute. What is it, girl? Boy? I don't actually know.
They're boys.
What is it, boy? Do you remember an episode we've forgotten? Is there something from TAS we're not thinking of?
Oh my god, there is! Oh my god,
What?
there actually is!
Thank you, Glue.
Albatross!
Good job, Glue.
The albatross?
The albatross, where everyone gets sick because they went through an aurora in space. And they want to kill McCoy for it, and god damn it.
Yep.
Sure, why not? What a terrible show.
Damn it, TAS.
Thank you, Glue.
Oh, I thought of one. It's the one where you lose your memories and then move in with some Native Americans. I believe it is called the Paradise Syndrome.
There's also the one where you lose your mind and fly directly into a space amoeba called the Immunity Syndrome.
The one where we had to work with Mengele to.
Well, that wasn't a disease. That was
what was the deal?
A species had latched onto her and was using her as
that's
life
right.
support.
Yeah, that's right. I'd forgotten what the setup was.
We were doing an alien.
Yeah.
Like the movie Alien, not like the kind of doing an alien where there's regulations against it.
Unless you're Riker.
To be clear.
Yeah, Riker refused to read that book or take that course.
Is getting bitten by species 8472 qualify?
Only if they give you a disease through like their saliva or something.
Well, I mean,
Like
whatever
rabies?
Harry Kim had that made him start to turn into a plant or whatever was happening to him.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Where they needed to use the nano probes to fix him.
Yeah, I don't know.
That doesn't sound like a disease. That sounds like a side effect.
Poisoning almost. But as we all know, the real disease is love.
We do.
Yes.
Thanks to Harry and his strange-shaped boner. I've broken Chris. Oh dear.
Oh no.
Things have gone wrong. So join us next week for more boners. As... Are you okay?
I hope at least one of next week's episode does involve weird alien sex now, just so that's appropriate.
Oh no.
I mean, it could just be
kinda hope not.
hijinks, right? In like the old definition of the term, a boner is just like a
mess
there you
up.
go.
or a
Yes,
joke.
that's exactly what I meant.
You dare laugh at the Joker's
We're
boner?
always pulling boners on this podcast, guys.
I pulled a real boner earlier today. I'm just kidding. I didn't.
Oh, good. I was going to say, I hope not.
I was just trying to be suggestive.
Gross.
Thank you.
Yeah, so next week, join us for more as we continue on through the Voyager. We are doing the episodes The Fight and Think Tank. Unless we do these out of order again, TBD. I forget what order things are going to go in. If not, Chris may do another very sneaky insert. We'll find out.
I'm already out of ideas.
I don't like the sound of very sneaky insert.
Boners.
Oh no.
And if you want to see what diseases I thought qualified as diseases and put on the Tumblr, you can check them out over on the link below or at sshbpodcast.com. Check out all the different things people are getting horribly sick from. What an appropriate time we live in. Yeah,
Hey,
so be excited
they're talking about maybe bring back mask mandates when we're recording this, so...
Yay!
Ooh, I love
Well, probably
that.
not a bad fucking idea.
Yeah, it just sucks that it has to come to that.
Yep.
I love it because I hate showing my face in public.
It's
I
good
love
for the
it.
winter, too, because, if you're
Yeah, it's cold.
outside...
I love it because it really makes a lot of anti-vax chuds mad.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
Sweet. Well, next week, as I said, we're doing those things. Hang out with us then. Until then, this has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
And this is always Chris.
Chris. No one here is named Chris. What did we actually watch? We actually watched a slightly different episode. It's called The Disease.
The real disease is love.
You've broken my joke, Chris.
Fuck, sorry.
Cut that.
Go on, Ames. Pretend it didn't happen. He can edit it out.